Hello humans, hello humans. It's February 8th, it's about 10 to 9 or something like that. Heading out in the other car, my sand car, my lighter weight beach car, and heading down to a non-usual destination. I've got to get some stuff into UPS to get shipped. Anyway, so there's been all kinds of drama about this, the wellness company. They're an interesting outfit. Amazing Polly has done a good dive into who all these people are. My bitch about them is the fact that they're all tied into the intelligence industry, right? Which means they're basically funded by stealing money from taxpayers, overprinting the central banks and not telling about it. So every time the central bank says, oh yeah, we printed $1 million, created a new million digital petrodollars, they may have created 5 or 10. We have no fucking way of knowing. And then they put it out to the intelligence communities who bribe people with it to do evil things. So I'm not a big fan of these guys, right? The intelligence community, the intelligence industry. Plus, I've had personal contact and knowledge of the CIA and how they operate since I was 9 years old, something like that. Maybe I was 8 when we met our first CIA officer. There's a big difference between an agent and an officer, right? So Phil Godlewski pretending to be a CIA agent is no big deal. Doesn't even mean they're paying him. Agents are just people that they use, that they get information from, that they use to do dirty deeds, that kind of thing. Officers are actual, commissioned members of their organization and are paid for it. So anyway, so I've known a lot of fucking CIA officers because of where my dad was in the U.S. military. He was at a point where he worked controlling men and personnel and material that had some level of interaction potentially with or as sources for information, right? So the CIA would... the CIA is always fucking with shit all over. They ran Vietnam. It was a constant battle between the the military and the CIA as to what was to be done. And of course, as we know, the CIA got the last word, and that was, the major fiasco that it was. We're never intended to win these wars, right? All wars are settled by the central bankers who are supporting both sides. And that's another bitch about the wellness company. If you look into it, as Amazing Polly did, you see that the top dog billionaires are heavy Democrat donors. Okay, so here are a bunch of heavy Democrat donors out buying up and corralling alternative right-wing media guys. And we got, all kinds of people. Jimmy Dore, all the Weinsteins, SGT Report, all these guys, Badlands Media, they're all dupes of these fellows, right? And so, what's the harm, you say, of putting up an affiliate link? Well, here's the thing. You have no fucking way of knowing if any of those sales that you get money for are legit. And so on the wellness company's, I think it's their first aid kit thing with the prescription medicines and crap in it, right? The ivermectin and such. I think the affiliates get like $6 or $7 off every one of those damn things. So, they could tell you 100 of them sold, give you $600, and you'd have no way of knowing. Yeah, they give you reports, but these can be generated so fucking easily, and you're so stupid, you're not ever going to try and match that against their actual revenues and so on. And in my opinion, these guys are not making that much money from all this wellness shit. And in fact, what they're doing is basically laundering a bunch of the intelligence money that they're raking off and so on, right? And they have other agendas, I'm quite sure, because the guy who's running the whole thing is a giant Democratic donor. He's part of the cabal. So, like I say, all these people are just naive to get into business with these folks and not check them out. So the wellness people came and wanted to do affiliate links and put shit on my website and all this crap some time back. Months, like, maybe a whole year or more for me. Hang on a second, I've got to... Anyway, hang on a second. I need to get off the road and set this. So I didn't trust them way the fuck back when they first contacted me, and I did just a little bit of sussing out, and found out that they're, not what they claim. Right? They're not right-wing alternate guys. They're funded by fucking billionaires. Here we go. Okay, all right. Had to get my environment controls going here. So anyway, Sean at SGT Report, he's pissed at me. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying he was a doofus he was naive for not doing his due diligence and finding out who the fuck these people were before he started taking their money and pimping for them. And now he's in the process of alibying for them. Not a good situation, right? At least Sarah Westall is not in that position. She doesn't try and alibi the wellness company, right? She's just stating what her position is relative to them. And, it's too bad, she got hooked. She was hoodwinked by him. She didn't do any due diligence. She just signed the contract and is pimping their stuff, right? And again, you don't know if any of their sales are valid. It may just simply be a money laundering scheme to get you enough money, and then they come back to you and they say, oh, by the way, dude, you got to do this. And you say, oh, no, I can't do that. I won't say that. And then they say, well, we're going to have to release that, we've given you, $68,000 over the last 5 months or whatever the fuck it is. And none of that was legit. It's all illegal. It's all a money operation, all a laundering operation. And what are you going to do? It's factual. And if they want to burn you, they can. And they will, and you will be burned. I mean, look at the brouhaha that's been stirred up just bringing this issue up. And then this Foster Colson guy, right? So I see him in a video where he's trying to respond to what he thinks of as attacks against his company and his corralling of all of these people. And yes, I do think that Sean at SGT Report is about as smart, as swift as a head of cattle, right? He walked right into this. He didn't do any due diligence and was just hugely naive and did no fucking research. Otherwise, he would have found that these guys you just have to do the Foster Colson. Just start doing some OSINT on him, some open source intelligence stuff on him. Look at his background. And then, start looking at his brothers and, all these other fuckers, right? Anyway, so they're all into mercenaries. They're all the money is coming from mercenaries and intelligence people and all of this kind of stuff, right? And so Foster Colson does this video. I don't know who he was responding to, some podcaster who was asking him questions that were coming in from the chat, and he was responding to him, and he's just bitching and moaning about Amazing Polly, right? And would not answer. He deflected. He never answered directly. In fact, the linguistics that this guy was putting out go to the idea of fragility, go to the idea of brittleness, flaking, as in, flaking stuff off of a stone, that kind of thing, right? He's also hugely under stress. If you watch him in that video, you can see the muscles in his eyes betraying this. The little muscles, the little saccadic muscles around his eyes are just going crazy as he's trying to control the lies that he's spewing out and come up with words that will be convincing. He knew while he was doing that it was not working, okay? And he was feeling really freaked out by the fact that this is not working. He was not able to come across as convincing enough to dampen any of this stuff, obviously, because now we're deeper into it and so on. All that did, by having him out there, was to inflame everybody, because it showed how much duplicity is involved in this company, right? I mean, they're mercenaries, and they're the wellness company? Well, okay, sure, you're quite well after they put a bullet in your head, And these fuckers work for the UN, all right? So they do lots of United Nations contracting. Just go and check them out. Anyway, So like I say, this is not a good situation for all the humans involved here who are compromised now. And it's like, okay, now we have to say, Jimmy Dore and, SGT Report and Sarah Westall and all of these people, right? I think they are simply useful idiots because they were usefully naive and did no due diligence, right? And now they're compromised and all of that kind of thing. There are people within that network that are quite active and that are centers and nexuses of activity within that network. And so these guys would be the witting ones, the willing ones. Everybody else is just pretty much a naive doofus. They were offered money and they took it. Naomi Wolf and all of these kind of people. Now, I figured Naomi Wolf, having been deep into the core of the leftist Wokonian brigades, would be savvy to the fact of what's going on. And so she may be, especially since she's Jewish, she may be participating willingly with what I think of as an Elohim Jewish Mossad CIA op. But anyway, that's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm just an old bald guy living on the coast. Anyway, so there's that. And that's going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And so the Badlands media people, Sarah Westall is old enough. She's got a bit of savviness, and she understands some of what's happening and where this is going. SGT Report, Jimmy Dore, John at, Patel Patriot at Badlands Media. These guys are still naive. They have no fucking clue as to what's going to be happening here as we go through these next few months over this wellness company thing. It's not going to stop. It's going to get a lot fucking worse. We're going to come out, and because of the way that the wellness people are doing this, because of the way they're handling this, it's just inviting further and further and further research. So their attitude and their approach, their strategy, and then the tactic of putting Foster out there as your face person. Oh my God, oh my God, what a horror. But anyway, so we're going to keep investigating this, and in a few months we'll know not only the length of the inseam for Foster, but we'll know which side he tucks on, okay? It's going to come out that much, because now they've really inflamed a lot of people by being aggressive and the approach that Foster took, which is like, man, that guy was so fucking stupid, obviously not skilled in PR, all right? So he was obviously he's not savvy. He just doesn't understand the current milieu and what's going on. And this is okay. I mean, there's no reason he should. He's just, a corp dude, and he thinks he knows what's happening out in the woo world, but he does not have a clue. He doesn't even know it's woo. He thinks it's just regular old psychological ops. Anyway, okay, so also over these next few months, we're going to have, as I forecast, this increasing component of UFOs in everyday mix to everything else that's going on. And we're seeing these now. New videos are showing up. There's weird-ass plasma ejections going on in the sky over Colorado yesterday. There were UFOs buzzing around in Italy. We've got sightings over in Turkey. It's just all over the place. And it's getting more so. And it will continue to get more so as we go forward over these next few months. And it's going to come to the point. Now we're getting into the situation where we have a few people. So like the Colorado one, you can hear the people talking about what they're watching as the guy is filming it. And you hear on his phone about their responses, their reactions to this. Pretty soon, we're going to see this happening with a lot of people. So there'd be many people filming and hundreds, if not thousands, who would be watching and viewing at that point. Having to have my coffee and do some of my pills here, some of my supplements. Anyway, so I've got data that in my sparse little data sets that suggests we're going to have a situation where there will be maybe tens of thousands of people at some kind of a summer event that will all see we'll have a mass UFO sighting. And it'll be quite spectacular. And then the MSM, the mainstream media, will have to discuss the many tens of thousands of people and what was going on and so on, even though they won't want to even talk about the UFO. Anyway, so that's coming this summer. This all going to really escalate by the time we get into quote election season. It'll be a very common situation to have people discussing space aliens, UFO, and then the dreaded Elohim word. And this is just going to make the rabbis and the rabbinical councils just shit and puke. They can't stand the idea that we're going to be discussing their bullshit rituals. So it's going to be ever so fascinating to observe the reactions on the part of these people. It's going to be quite the entertaining fall. We'll see not only stuff happening in the real world, but the more entertaining aspect of it is going to be watching all of the people's reaction in the media, that kind of thing. They're just they're going to lose their minds. All right. Recently we've had Egypt devalue its currency, and this is just the start. So Egypt's going to plunge into darkness now. Basically, they're saying by devaluing their currency, they're saying they have no foreign reserves. They don't have very many dollars or any foreign reserves to back up their currency. So now we're getting into that interesting part. Pretty soon we'll see this happen in the European countries, especially as the revolution continues. Now, it's not like in a revolution that that everybody agrees, okay, we're going to start the revolution, next Saturday at 3 p.m. It just doesn't work that way, right? So we're in the revolution now. It's been going on for months, and it will continue to go on for months. And then at some point, it will become very dynamic, and the nature of it will change. And by that point, it'll be global in the sense that there will be daily revolution activities here in America, as well as even in South America. We're seeing that now in Brazil. The Brazilians went, and a bunch of mobs of Brazilians went and destroyed their HARP, their high-altitude auroral research project, which is really a weapon. We know it's all a weapon. We know it causes all of the weird fucking weather. It's part of their weapon That's what I hear from the locals, is that people were just getting too sick in all the villages around this thing, and they just decided that it was the cause and that was it, so they stormed the fences and tore the fucker down. I think that's coming to Alaska and to the U.S. So we're going to have activity, a couple of activities in Utah, and then there will be the activity in Alaska as these machines are destroyed. Utah's got its own issues, but Utah's going to be a hotbed of the pushback, the fight against the globalists here in America. Utah may be the place, by the way, where the UN lands and stages their invasion of the country. They're already doing it. They're already shipping in foreign soldiers that are trained by the UN and know how to support the UN, and who will link up here and be part of the UN army that the mother weffers are supposing they can use to pacify and domesticate the USA population. Now, it's not going to work, Yeah, the blue helmets will be protected from the laser beams, but they're not going to be protected from ground activity. And UN is very hated here, and it's going to get a lot fucking worse when it comes out that the UN is the participatory funnel. So it's all linked up with that. And again, there you go with the Foster Colson and his buddies and his brother and his father and their this Lopez or Gomez guy that's involved with them there out of Haiti and all of this kind of shit, right? Haiti, yeah, perfect place for that. But these guys are involved with the UN, and they're involved with the Israeli government. So, so I don't trust them at all. Don't want to deal with them. I got contacted by the guys. The one fucker would not take no for an answer. And I had to, and he wanted to come on up and basically try and talk me into his position. So did that mean he was going to come on up and threaten me or what? And, I'm a raspy old fucker, so I just told him via the email that if he wanted to come on up, I would be sure that my knife was sharp and that the castrati operation would not be too painful. That I was just really annoyed with the guy. Come on up and I'll slice your nuts off. And they're smarmy. They're these two guys that approached me on behalf of the wellness company are just slime. They exude it the way that Foster Colson exudes fragility and stress reaction. His body is probably just so crammed with cortisol he can't hold it. He just can't keep it, and it just leaks out. Any event, though. So as the UN stuff comes on out, there will be another big backlash against the Israelis. And about that point, so maybe August or September, we're going to have all kinds of activities here that are going to make Jewish people very paranoid. And I agree they should be paranoid, right? Because they're associated with the Elohim worship cult, and they're part of the degradation of the American social order, and they're going to be called out on that, right? It doesn't matter if you like Jews, think Jews are good or whatever. They're associated with the Elohim worship cult, and they need to, at this point in time, because of the coming into the age of Aquarius here and the age of knowledge, this knowledge is not going to go away. They're not going to be able to suppress this knowledge. It'll get even worse. The next generation of Russian textbooks are going to be hugely informative about the Elohim worship cult and their attempt, the cult's attempt to remove the idea of Tartaria from history and how they've been editing history. So I know that is in an upcoming Russian high school textbook, okay? I'm not going to go into how I know it, but it will be out this year or next. This year, I think. This coming fall. In any event, so all kinds of stuff are happening. We'll see a lot of the deep state players like the Folsom group here or the Colson Group, the Foster Colson, the wellness company. We'll see these guys get outed, along with a lot of these other organizations. It's going to cause all this problem within our hyper novelty, right? So we have no authority now. And so you've got to examine everything, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up like Sean at SGT Report, freaking out because he's called out because he's associated with deep state intelligence agents that are probably planning right now on how to fuck him over and use him as a tool. So, and it's like, okay, guys, you got to get your shit together and understand the kind of world we're living in. It is a world without authorities. And so, big ass money coming and offering you big ass money is a trap. So, okay, we got to be wise. Got to get wise to all this shit. They're coming to play you. Anyway, so, as I don't have any ill will towards any of these people that have been duped by the wellness company. I still like Sarah, I still like Sean, all of that kind of shit, right? But they were just naive. It happens. Everybody's that way. You're always naive to something. And they were just bigly naive, and now they've got to deal with it. So now they've got to figure out how they're going to respond and, what they're going to do, because everybody's going to be talking about it within the alt community, and it's going to and does affect their reputation. So no, I don't really think a whole lot of Sean's ability to analyze, nor Sarah's, right? I mean, they're smart people, but it doesn't necessarily mean they know what they're doing in terms of analysis, because obviously they don't apply that analysis, if they do any, to their own situation. And that is, they're not doing their own due diligence on people that they do business with. And you should. Anytime somebody approaches me and I think I want to do business with them or whatever, I do OSINT. I investigate the fuckers just to see who the hell I'm getting myself involved with, right? Most people don't. So anyway, this is just the nature of where we're at the moment. Everybody's going to have to do it. This was one of those things that was driving Heather Hang crazy, right? Which is that there is no authority. And so even academia is now struggling with this. And what you're going to do? Well, you got to deal with it. You got to examine, you got to take it back on yourself and learn to make good decisions about it. Anyway, guys, first stop here. I've got a bunch of these guys. And so I'll talk to you later. I'll make another one of these little ones on the way home. But basically my routine is now shifting. So it may be weeks sometimes before I do any of these as I get into the other demands of getting a house built and all the other crap I got going on. Anyway, all right. Talk to you later.